Hello everyone, happy Holy Week. Welcome to Kingdom Connections with Pastor Kelly. This week we're thinking about all of the persons, players, forces, motivations, and dynamics that come together in a crucial way to bring about the suffering, the death, and the resurrection of our Lord Jesus, so essential to our salvation. We have Judas and the Pharisees, the Herodians and the temple guard, the chief priests and Caiaphas, the elders and the scribes, Pilate and Herod and the leaders of the people, the rulers of the age, the Roman soldiers, and all of the people acting in concert on the human plane. At the same time, we have the Father and the Son both acting on the divine plane. The Pharisees and the Herodians set traps for Jesus to try to turn the people against him on the one hand, or the Roman authorities against him on the other. The leaders of the people conspire with Judas to arrest him. The people respond early on by trying to throw Jesus over a cliff. Judas proved to be wicked. He betrayed Jesus with a kiss. He used the sign of friendship to destroy friendship. He handed Jesus over for the ransom price of a common slave. He sold Jesus cheap. The temple guard and the chief priests, Caiaphas and the scribes and elders all accused Jesus of subversion and sedition. They stirred up the crowd to demand Jesus' crucifixion. The people delivered and disowned Jesus in the presence of Pilate. Peter told them, "You disowned the holy and righteous one. You put to death the Prince of Life." Jesus affronted them, and they hated him for it. Their testimony was false and inconsistent. They all condemned him. They spit on him, they blindfolded him, and they beat him with their fists. The officers received him with slaps in the face, saying, "Prophesy to us, you Christ. Who is the one who hit you?" They sent him to Pilate. 3 times Pilate said, "I find no guilt in this man." He should have exonerated him, but he abdicated his authority for good and had Jesus scourged anyway, and then handed him over to be crucified. Pilate was avoidant, evasive, half-hearted, concerned more for his own standing than his responsibility to use his authority for good. He sent Jesus to the praetorium. They stripped him. They put a scarlet robe on him. They pressed the crown of thorns on his head, mocked him, spit on him. They took turns slapping him in the face. They beat him over the head with a reed, and they took him away to crucify him. Judas handed Jesus over to the priests for greed. The priests handed Jesus over to Pilate for envy, insecurity, for hatred. Pilate handed Jesus over to the soldiers for cowardice, expedience, moral compromise. The people were complicit in it all. Peter told them, "I know, brethren, that you acted in ignorance, just as your rulers did also." Paul said that if the rulers of this age had understood it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. And the people all cried, "His blood shall be on us and on our children." Peter said, "Let all the house of Israel know for certain that God has made Jesus both Lord and Christ, this Jesus whom you crucified." And when the people heard it, they were pierced to the heart and said, "Brethren, what shall we do?" In the end, Judas, Caiaphas, the leaders of the people, Pilate, Herod, the Roman soldiers, and the people themselves all had a hand in the crucifixion of Jesus. They did it for greed, for envy, insecurity. They did it for fear, cowardice, expedience, compromise. We've all done it for sin. Jesus went to the cross voluntarily, deliberately, with strength, grace, and dignity. He consecrated himself to this fulfillment. He laid down his life for us. He gave himself over, and the Father gave him over for love for us. He who did not spare his own Son, but delivered him over for us all. And Jesus gave himself up to die for us. He was delivered over because of our transgressions. He was raised for our justification. He loved us, and he gave himself up for us. As our text affirms, "Be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love, just as Christ also loved you, and gave himself up for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God as a fragrant aroma." Jesus gave himself up for his church, and so should you, and so should I. It's crucial. And that's Kingdom Connections, everyone. God bless you. We'll see you next week.